Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ragada primera e swabhava achar. Nija dhuka vignadira nakore bichar. This is the natural result of intense love of Godhead. The devotee does not consider personal inconveniences or impediments. In all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It is natural for those who have developed intense love for Krishna not to care for personal inconvenience and impediments. Such devotees are simply determined to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or His representative, the spiritual master. In all circumstances, even amidst the greatest dangers, they undeviatingly carry on with the greatest determination. This definitely proves the intense love of the servitor. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tate nukampam susamikshamana, those who seriously desire to get free from the clutches of material existence, who have developed intense love for Krishna, are worthy candidates for going back home, back to Godhead. An intense lover of Krishna does not care for any number of material discomforts, scarcity, impediments, or unhappiness. It is said that when one sees apparent unhappiness or distress in a perfect Vaishnav, it is not at all unhappiness for him. Rather, it is transcendental bliss. In the Shikshastakam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also instructed, Ashlisya vapadaratham panashtumam. The intense lover of Krishna is never deviated from his service. Despite all difficulties and impediments brought before him. Hare Krishna. We are very honored and grateful to welcome His Holiness Purushatraya Swami Maharaj to our Govardhana Eco. Much louder, please. He's a great sannyasi, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who has truly given his life and soul to receiving Prabhupada's mercy and distributing Harinam Sankirtan and the mercy of our Guru Parampara in some of the loneliest, most difficult parts of the world. Always humble, always enthusiastic, and always full of compassion. Thank you, Maharaj, so much for being with us today. Hare Krishna. Today, we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 4, Text 186. It is the disappearance day of Srila Madhavendra Puri. I would first like to share an explanation or description of the ceremony that many of us just participated in. The first time I ever came to this property of Govardhana Eco Village, it was just a very small part of the land that we have now. We acquired it later. It was kind of like just fields and weeds, some agriculture, little. And just when we came in from the main road, there was a very small, crumbling, dilapidated little temple I saw. And I looked inside, and there was Lord Ganesh, Ganapati. And it was striking, because everything was really crumbling and neglected. And on the altar, touching the body of Ganesh, was a cobra, snake. So I offered obeisances with reverence. But that was my first experience of Govardhana Eco Village. And I was thinking that's very auspicious. Like, Ganesh was quite dirty, and as far as his body was not cared for. But he was here. In Sri Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma prays that Lord Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, whose expansion is Lord Narsinghadev, empowers Ganesh, the expansion son of Lord Shiva, to remove obstacles from the spiritual path, to protect the devotees from the impediments that come. So in that mood, we honor Ganesh. And he was, for some time in that little temple, we tried to make it better, but eventually we brought him into the front office, where it was a nicer facility for him, and there was construction around. And just today, we inaugurated a brand new carved stone temple for Ganesh to make his home. He's the senior most devotee here at Govardhana Eco Village. And of course, in Maharashtra, he's very much popular. People here. And the Mahaprasad of Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Bihari are offered to Shri Ganapati each day. Today, we are especially honoring Srinathji Prabhu. It was his incredible enthusiasm and will, along with his beloved wife, Maithili Priya Devi, to help Govardhana Eco Village in every possible way. The landscaping, many of the families, so many of the families of the villagers and the devotees have been helped in so many ways. And of course, their whole family, Keshav, Chaitanya, Brinda Priya, Radhagiridhari, Namamrita Devi, Janisha. They've been great supporters of Radha Gopinath Temple and Govardhana Eco Village from the very beginning. landscaping was their inspiration. And they especially wanted to have a wonderful kitchen and prasad area, which is very interesting. Govardhana Eco Village is a expansion of Sri Radha Gopinath Temple in Chowpatty, Mumbai. And that building, the way we received it, for over 100 years, there was an orphanage there, the Lady Northcote Hindu Orphanage. And over that time, so many things changed, and they only had a little small part of the building. And Srinathji Prabhu and Maitali Priya Devi they would come there to feed prasad on a regular basis to the children, because they weren't getting very nice food. But they would come and give them nice prasad and teach them kirtan. And from that gesture of devotion, after some years, the whole building was given to Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara. It began with their enthusiasm to distribute prasad and distribute Harinam Sankirtan. Srinathji Prabhu and his family, they wanted it to be a priority of Govardhana Eco Village to make this wonderful kitchen where wonderful prasad could be distributed to the devotees, to the congregation, to the villagers, to the pilgrims, to everyone. So today, in honor of Srinathji Prabhu, we are going to inaugurate and dedicate this kitchen to him and his family. It's an appropriate day for such an occasion, being the disappearance day of Sri Madhavendra Puri. Because all the stories of Madhavendra Puri are very intimately connected to prasad. And his enthusiasm to both distribute prasad and offer the best possible prasad to his deities. May I share some of that story? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he loved to distribute prasad. When there would be a festival, he would personally want to, Haridas Thakur's festival, he personally begged in Jagannath Puri for different shopkeepers and pandas to give him prasad, to distribute to the people. And when he was serving the prasad, he was so generous in his heart. And because the Supreme Personality of God, or any great devotee, their actions are an expression of what's in their heart. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Goratveshe Namaha. He's the most magnanimous. He's Krishna himself, but even displaying even greater magnanimity than Krishna. Because he was not only Krishna tasting the sweetness of Sri Radha's love, but he was distributing that love, distributing Sri Radha's grace profusely, especially through Harinam Sankirtan, the association of devotees, and prasad. When he served prasad, each helping he gave a devotee was more than 5 large men could eat. No less would fit in his hand. So that was kind of a dilemma. So devotees asked Lord Chaitanya, no one will eat before you, so please let us serve. And oftentimes the most elevated, intimate associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they took charge of the serving prasad. Swarup Damodar Goswami, Jagadananda Pandit, Govinda Kashishwar Pandit, Damodar Pandit. Some of these are devotees in the highest Madhurya Ras, personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya, Swarup Damodar. So he was very eager and happy to be serving the prasad. Prasad seva is very sacred. There's a chapter in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, in many verses, is glorifying the quality of Krishna's prasad. Its transcendental nature, its fragrance, its taste, its sight, its aroma. Everything about it is transcendentally non-different than Krishna. Because when Krishna accepts the love and devotion of a devotee in the form of foodstuffs, through his glance, through his loving reciprocation, he infuses that prasad with his mercy, with his kripa. And the mercy of Krishna is non-different than Krishna. So prasad is sacred. Srila Prabhupada himself, that's how he started the Hare Krishna movement. In the Western world, people didn't know so much about what is Krishna. In fact, they knew nothing about what is Krishna. But he would have kirtan, and he would always give prasad. And he would speak. And people, they would come because they were so fascinated by the prasad and the kirtan, they would listen to what he said. And were transformed. And even when Srila Prabhupada had nothing, as far as any money or any resources, if somebody gave him an apple, he would look into the room. It was sometimes in the Bowery, in a little loft flat, later at 26th Avenue, a little storefront. Sometimes it's just people's homes, storefronts. How many people were there, he would cut the apple in that many pieces and offer it to Krishna and conclude the program by giving prasad. And for Srila Prabhupada's personal assistants, like Nanda Kumar Prabhu, Upendra Prabhu, Shruti Kirti Prabhu, Harisari Prabhu. They have so many stories. Prabhupada, anybody who came to see him, they were given prasad. And if somehow or other the assistant forgot to give prasad, he would say, go and give. And they'd have to run through the streets to give him prasad. Prasad is such an important principle. Srinathji Prabhu, Maithili Priya Devi, Keshav Namamrita, and the whole family, Radhagiri Dari, Vrinda Priya, Janisha, Chaitanya, they have really adopted this spirit. Para Upakar, the highest charity is that which nourishes the soul. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bharata Bhumite Hoila Manusya Janmajara. He gave this instruction to all people of India. And in the same chapter, he actually gives the same instruction to all people in the world. To receive this message of Krishna consciousness and to do the highest welfare benefit to all living beings. They have taken this spirit as their heart and soul. So let us now examine how Madhavendra Puri accepted this. In this particular chapter, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he has left Jagannath Puri on his first journey to Vrindavan Dham. He was so very eager to go to Vrindavan. And all the devotees wanted to go with him. And they went. Except Lord Chaitanya told Gadadhar Pandit, you must stay back and continue your seva to Tota Gopinathji. When they came to Ramkeli, there was hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there Lord Chaitanya first met Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, along with their brother Anupam. And they told Lord Chaitanya, better you go to Vrindavan, small group or alone. Going with so many people, you will not be able to appreciate. So in Kanai Natashala, he considered that and decided to go back to Jagannath Puri and go to Vrindavan another time. On the way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped in Shantipur. It was the house of Sri Advaita Prabhu. He just appeared. There was no, cell phones, people, or texts. Lord Chaitanya is coming to your house. Things didn't work that way. That's why it was so nice. He just came. And Advaita Prabhu and Sita Thakurani and the little child Achyutananda were so happy to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's a wonderful pastime describing the loving relation between Lord Chaitanya and Advaita's little son, who was only about 5 years old. His name was Achyutananda. And while Lord Chaitanya was there, Sachimata and devotees from Navadvip came. Then the day came, which was today, the disappearance of Madhavendra Puri. And Advaitacharya, that was a special day for him. He would have a grand festival. Madhavendra Puri was his guru. Madhavendra Puri, he was in the line of Sripad Madhvacharya, a sannyasi. He took sannyas from Lakshmipati Tirtha. He was the very root of ecstatic love of God, who manifested the Madhurya Bhav, the love of the gopis. And he was the first in the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya to manifest that intimacy of ecstatic love. He was a kalpabriksha tree in the most intimate gardens, kunjas of Vrindavan, where he alone would observe and render seva to Sri Sri Radha Govinda Dev in their eternal pastimes. He descended into this world with this gopi bhav. And Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat described his qualities. There were always tears of love and separation from Krishna pouring from his eyes. His hairs would stand on end. If he would see a cloud, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati describes, most of us when we see clouds, sometimes we're thinking, oh no, it's going to rain. And in India, After the summer season, when we see clouds, we're thinking it's going to cool off and our crops are finally going to get watered. So everyone sees clouds in a certain way. But when Madhavendra Puri would see a cloud, he would see the complexion of Shamsundar and go into ecstasy and fall unconscious. Nobody could understand. He was constantly chanting, dancing. He was intoxicated in love for Krishna. But at the same time, he was always unhappy. To see how in this age of Kali Yuga, so many people, almost everyone, was bereft of the sweet nectar of Krishna consciousness, love for Krishna. The more we love Krishna, the more we become detached from materialistic ways, and the more compassion we have. Paraduka dukhi. Because we see what everyone's potential is. We see how much Krishna, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, he descends to this world again and again and again to remind us of what we have forgotten. Jivera swarapoy krishnara nityadas. We're eternal servants of Krishna. Love for Krishna is within us. The more we personally awaken that love for Krishna in ourselves, the more we feel happiness in that love, in experiencing the infinite, supreme beauty and grace of Krishna, and unhappiness for all those who are being cheated by their own minds, their own senses, and the influences of society from that. From a theoretical perspective, we can philosophically understand what is the tattva of prema and bhakti, and we could feel for people that don't have it. But when we're actually tasting Krishna consciousness, we have deep compassion because we understand what people are missing. And we see them all as our brothers and sisters. So Madhavendra Puri wanted to share this Krishna consciousness so much with other people, but nobody wanted to listen. Everyone was so obsessed with materialistic ways, and even Sanskrit scholars, they were just interpreting everything for their own prestige. They were interested in either improving their material situation or developing yogic powers or getting liberation, but the concept of eternal love, bhakti, was practically non-existent within society. So when Madhavendra Puri was traveling, actually it was somewhere in this area of Maharashtra that he met Nityananda Prabhu and was very happy. And when he came in Bengal to Shantipur, he came to the house of Sri Advaita Prabhu. And we know the story of Advaita Prabhu. He was so compassionate to all living beings who were suffering and forgetful of their true nature, that he vowed to bring Krishna himself into this world. Advaita Prabhu is Mahavishnu, the Supreme Father of all the universes within the creation. And he's also Sadashiva, Lord Shiva, the most compassionate of all Vaishnavas. And in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, he's especially Gopeshwar Mahadev. Krishna, Lord Shiva, He wanted to serve Krishna as a gopi in the Ras Leela. So Brinda Devi told him to go to Manasi Ganga, a lake that is filled with the tears of Sri Radharani in her separation from Krishna. And by her grace only, you can have the mood and the body of a gopi. Lord Shiva bathed in that place. He entered as Vishwanath Mahadev, and he came out as Gopeshwar Mahadev. He had body and the bhav of gopi. So this is Advaitacharya. He prayed not to Vishnu, because he is Mahavishnu. He prayed to Gopeshwar, Krishna, Gopinath. He prayed to Gopinath to appear. And Krishna came in the mood of Sri Radha to fulfill Advaitacharya's desire. So this is many years before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Advaita Prabhu was feeling great happiness in his love for Krishna, and with a few devotees having kirtan and harikatha, and Haridas Thakur would come, and they were like brothers together, the topmost of all Brahmins, and by social status and untouchable, they were best of friends and brothers, and they'd share their hearts and their love together. And there was hardly anyone else that could understand. So Advaita was crying for the conditioned souls. And when Madhavendra Puri came, they both recognized in each other their ecstatic love. In fact, Advaitacharya, Gopeshwar Mahadev, Sadashiva, Mahavishnu, accepted initiation and instruction from Madhavendra Puri. That was his exalted position. And many, many years later, when Lord Chaitanya came to Shantipur after going to Ramkeli, Lord Chaitanya noticed that Advaita was about to celebrate Madhavendra Puri's disappearance. What arrangements were there? Incredible, unbelievable. Because Advaita Prabhu was not a rich person, he was a Brahmin. He didn't have a job. He just chanted and danced and read scriptures and did puja for his Madan Gopal Murti. Lived simple life with his family. But just before, without even asking people just started coming and giving so many gifts because they knew this is the festival coming up, Haribol, for Madhavendra Puri. Lord Chaitanya was walking around to see what decorations were there. First of all, Advaita was so enthusiastic. And Sati Mata, she volunteered, let me be in charge of all the cooking. And then so many other wives of Brahmins and devotees, they came and said, we want to assist Sati Mata. I'll cut the vegetables, I'll wash the vegetables, I'll wash the rice. They were all dividing up there in so much enthusiasm. Nityananda Prabhu, he volunteered for the service of worshiping every Vaishnav that comes. Some took the responsibility of making Chandan. Others took the responsibility of carrying water from the Ganga and from various wells. Others took the responsibility of making garlands, of cleaning the whole area, making flags, making canopies. This way, The whole community of devotees and everyone around was contributing whatever they could do best. And they were all serving together with Krishna in the center. In this way, these festivals, they're not like mundane festivals where you just come to enjoy. The real heart and spirit of Vaishnava festivals is everyone's coming to serve. Everyone's coming to serve and everyone's coming to appreciate everyone else's service. There's no high and there's no low. Whether one is plucking flowers or making a garland or carrying water or doing yajna or offering the arti or leading the kirtan or singing in the kirtan, giving charanamrit. It's like different parts of the body. Every part is so precious and valuable and recognized and appreciated by all others. This spirit, this mood of everyone unified with one purpose. And among the people there were so many different types of people. This is the oneness of bhakti. We never want to lose our identity because then the whole principle of love is lost. The purest love. Whoever we are, we offer our hearts and souls. Patram pushpam palam toyam. Yomi bhakta prayachjati. So this is Vaishnava festival. It's uplifting and purifying to the whole universe when devotees come together in oneness in their interest, in their aspiration to serve one another and to please Krishna. And in this case, yasya prasada bhagavat prasado, by pleasing the Guru. Mad bhakta puja abhyadika, Krishna is most pleased when we please his devotees. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his own mood of das, 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 anudas. Gopi bharatur padakamalayur das, das, anudas. To be servant of the servant. So this mood was permeating Advaita Prabhu's house. And Lord Chaitanya saw in one room there was thousands and thousands of bunches of bananas. Not just one room, many rooms. They filled like 5 rooms of bananas. Then there were rooms filled with coconuts, and rooms full of rice, and rooms full of different types of sabjis, vegetables, and rooms full of dal beans, rooms full of milk, and rooms full of yogurt, and rooms full of ghee. You can imagine. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the husband of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Pati, but he was even amazed. How is this? How is all this bhoga and all these, there's rooms and rooms of flowers. People just, everyone from all around, the villagers, they came and contributed. And Sachimata was cooking and everyone was helping. Lord Chaitanya was so happy to see all the arrangements. And meanwhile, through it all, there was devotees singing kirtan. Eventually, Lord Chaitanya came to the kirtan hall. And he induced all the devotees to sing and to dance. And it actually describes in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat that many circles were there. And Lord Chaitanya, he began to dance in the middle of these different circles. And all the devotees were coming around him. And in great ecstasy, he was dancing and singing, and everyone was dancing and singing with the remembrance for the pleasure of Sri Madhavendra Puri. And after hours and hours of Sankirtan, and the pujas and the yagyas that were going on simultaneously. They offered all the bhoga to Madan Gopal. They offered all the bhoga to Madhavendra Puri. And then they told Lord Chaitanya, it's time for Prasad. They all sat down and took wonderful Prasad together. Every item was cooked by Sachi Mata. And with much help from so many others. Large quantities for everyone. For all the devotees, for all the villagers, for everything. It was a great feast. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, he declared, anyone who observes this day of Madhavendra Puri's disappearance day in this way, I give the blessing that they will have deep attachment and affection for Lord Govinda. By the grace of Sanat Kumar Prabhu and Gauranga Prabhu and all the other devotees here at Govardhana Eco Village, we are getting this chance to please Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya was first going to Jagannath Puri, again, he wanted to go to Vrindavan. So many of the stories of Lord Chaitanya's Leela is when he's trying to go to Vrindavan. After taking initiation from Ishvara Puri and Gaya, he was going to Vrindavan. And the demigods told him, you should go to Navadvip and establish Harinam Sankirtan first, because that's why you incarnated. So he did. Then he took sannyas and katva from Keshav Bharati Maharaj, who was going to Vrindavan. But Nityananda Prabhu understood how much the devotees in Navadvip, especially Sachi Mata and Advaita Prabhu, they will die if he leaves. So he redirected Lord Chaitanya secretly to Shantipur. And similarly, Sachi Mata came from Navadvip and all the devotees were there and Sachi Mata was cooking. And Sachi Mata and the devotees, they appealed to Lord Chaitanya. If you go to Vrindavan, we will never hear from you. The same Krishna that lives in Vrindavan is in Puri as Jagannath. So go there. Because so often devotees from Bengal go to Puri Dham. And we're so fortunate at our festival today. We have Ram Kumar, Dayatapati, one of the personal servants of Lord Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra in Jagannath Puri. He's come. He's come to bless us. He was born to serve Lord Jagannath. He's coming from a line that goes all the way back to the original pujaris of Lord Jagannath. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there in Puri, his grandmothers and grandfathers were worshipping Lord Jagannath. Great grandmothers. So he's come to bless this special occasion. So on the way from Shantipur to Jagannath Puri, Lord Chaitanya stopped at Remuna. And there is the famous deity of Kirchor Gopinath. When having darshan of Gopinath, devotees were dancing and singing with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in great ecstasy. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then shared a story that he heard from his Guru Maharaj, Ishvara Puri, about his Guru Maharaj, Madhavendra Puri, which very much relates to the deity of Gopinath. While on the subject of Advaita Prabhu, I'm just feeling so many connections. Because we're just constructing Madan Mohan Temple. Madan Mohan, the original deity, was made by Vajranab, the great-grandson of Lord Krishna. And then he disappeared over the centuries, over the millenniums. Nobody knew where he was. But when Sri Advaita Prabhu was living in Vrindavan, just near the bank of the Yamuna, under a banyan tree, he discovered the deity of Madan Mohan, Madan Gopal. And that place, even today, is Advaita Bhat, one of the holiest places of Vrindavan, where Sri Madan Mohan revealed himself to Advaitacharya. Great disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So we are remembering this as we're hearing the construction of Madan Mohan in the background. So please know it's special effects to enhance the festival. And it's a special bhava. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Ramuna, he was remembering a story he heard from his guru, Ishvara Puri, about his guru, Madhavendra Puri. Lord Chaitanya sat everyone down and told the story. When Madhavendra Puri was traveling throughout India by foot, in his ecstasy of love, he was always yearning to meet another Vaishnav. One of the qualities of loving Krishna is we love devotees. If we don't love devotees, that means we don't really love Krishna. To the degree we love Krishna, we love those who Krishna loves, and those who love Krishna, or those who are even aspiring to love Krishna. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in one beautiful prayer in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he tells that I am taking the dust of the feet, I'm worshipping every Vaishnav. Not only the great Paramhamsas, but even the newcomer who's just now coming to the path of bhakti. I worship all of them because they're approaching Krishna. Durlabha manava janma lobhya samsare. It is very rare. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Krishna says, out of thousands of people, hardly one approach me. Thousands and thousands. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting with his devotees telling the story. Madhavendra Puri was traveling around, and alas, he came to Vrindavan. And there to Govardhana. In great ecstasy of love, Madhavendra Puri performed the Govardhan Parikrama. Then came to Govinda Kund, the special lake where after Krishna, as Giridhari lifted up Shri Giriraj, Indra came with all the devatas, Brahma and Shiva, Vayu, Agni, all the devatas and all the great sages. They worshipped Krishna by performing abhishekam for him. And they proclaimed his eternal name from the spiritual world, Govinda. So Govinda Kund is the place that was filled with the abhishek of Sri Krishna. Madhavendra Puri took his bath there. And now it was becoming later in the day. He sat down under a tree, all alone, chanting the holy names. Madhavendra Puri was such a humble person. He would never ask anything from anyone. In fact, he didn't eat all day. But no one knew. A little boy, a cowherd boy, he came to Madhavendra Puri and said, "Oh, Swamiji, you have come to our village, but I think you are fasting. I'm a cowherd boy from this village, and in my village no one should fast. So I've come to bring you this milk." Madhavendra Puri said to this little boy, "How did you know that I'm fasting?" The all-knowing, supreme, absolute truth, the personality of Godhead in the form of this little boy was disguising his identity from Madhavendra Puri. He said, "Actually, the village ladies, they're coming here to Govinda Kund to get water for their household activities, and they saw that you weren't eating all day. So they told me, and they sent me this milk for you to drink." He said, "Now I have to go to milk the cow, so I'm leaving this milk and I'll come back to collect the pot after some time." And the little boy went away. Madhavendra Puri drank the milk, very happy. And he washed the pot, he washed his hands, and he sat in that little lonely place chanting the names of Krishna. And as he was chanting, he kind of fell asleep. And that little boy returned to him in a dream. And the little boy said, "I've been waiting for you, Madhavendra Puri. I've been freezing in the winters and burning in the summers, and I haven't had any water or any food, and I'm covered with dirt. Please, I've been waiting for you." And then the little boy took Madhavendra Puri by the hands and brought him to some thick bushes just near Govinda Kund and said, "Here you will find me. Please bathe me. Make a temple for me. Get the villagers to come and help you." Then the little boy disappeared. And Madhavendra Puri woke up and understood that little boy that came and served him and gave him milk was actually Gopinath, Krishna. Before the little boy left him in the dream, he said, "My name is Gopal, and I am a resident of Govardhana. This deity that you will find in the bushes was originally installed by Vajra, the great-grandson of Krishna, and was worshipped here. But because of invasions of foreign sectarian powers, long ago, the pujari hid me in these bushes, and out of fear he ran away. So I've been all alone. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm very hot. Bring the villagers." So Madhavendra Puri, he was feeling very guilty. Krishna came and I didn't even recognize him. But then he was thinking, there's no time for guilt because I have a service to perform. So he went to a little village close by, Anayor. And there he gathered the leaders of the village and sat with them and told them the story that Lord Gopal, Girivaradhari, the Lord of Govardhan, is in these bushes. Let us go to find him. It's very thick. So bring your choppers. So the villagers were very excited because they're all devotees of Krishna, Brijbasis. They were cutting the bushes and cutting the thorns, and finally they came. And there was Gopal, just laying on the ground, covered with dirt, leaves, and all other things on his body. They were struck with wonder. They lifted him up. They brushed him. They washed him. And then, according to Krishna's instruction, Madhavendra Puri organized the Brijabasi villagers to perform a beautiful abhishekam. They bathed Gopal's body with water from Govinda Kund. It's an elaborate explanation by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. First they took scented oils and covered Gopal's body, making him very glossy. Then they washed him with water from Govinda Kund. Then they again put oils to make him glossy. Then they offered Panchagavya, Panchamrita, and 1,000 pots of water from Govinda Kund, the Mahasnan. Then they dried him, and villagers were bringing so many gifts. They offered him Chandan, tulsi leaves, put nice cloths upon him, ornaments, flowers. They got a big rock and took it to the top of Govardhana Hill, where Gopal, where his home is. And they made an altar for him, and then another rock to support him from the back. Then the villagers from that particular village, they brought all the stock of food that they had in the village. And so many Brahmins and so many other cooks, they cooked wonderful feast under Madhavendra Puri's direction. There was a huge mountain of rice. And around the mountain of rice, they had so many qualified Brahmins cooking the rotis, chapatis. And they made stacks, large stacks of chapatis all around the mountain of rice. And then all the vegetables of the villages were all cooked and prepared. Then they made mountains of vegetables and sabjis and liquids and sweets around the chapatis and around the rice. It was anakut. And the Brijabasis, when they saw, they were thinking, this is the first time since Krishna that we're having such an anakut celebration here at Govardhana. We know the story, how Krishna convinced Nanda Maharaj, why are you making all these preparations and yagyas for Indra? We should offer everything to Giriraj Govardhan, Haridasvari. He's the best devotee. He's providing the cows and all the devotees with fresh grasses, with cool caves, beautiful caves to rest in, and crystal clear nectarine waters, flowers. So let us offer everything to Giriraj. And he organized it himself. And Krishna said, and we should offer huge mountains of bhoga to Giriraj. And he explained exactly how to do. They made mountains of rice and mountains of sabjis and everything. And then Krishna appeared as Govardhan Hill and manifest that he is Giriraj, he is Govardhan. And all the Brijabasis saw this massive form of Krishna, who is a mountain. And they didn't know what to do. So Krishna, who was little Nandanandan, he bowed down to the big Krishna, who was Giriraj. And all the Brijabasis bowed down with him. And then what did Giriraj do? With his many, many gigantic long hands, he took all the bhoga from all directions. And within a moment, he ate it all. There was nothing left. And he called out, Aniyor, give me more. But there was nothing else. So they offered him a tulsi leaves, and he said, now I'm happy. And then within a moment, after he ate everything, and there was nothing there, all the food that they prepared manifested just as it was, all these mountains. But now it's Mahaprasad. Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful explanation of prasad. He said, when you prepare food, it's food. But when you offer it to Krishna with love and devotion through the proper process of parampara, Krishna infuses that food with spiritual potency. It's not what other people eat. It's the spiritual energy of the Lord. It's permeated with mercy. Yeyatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamya. As we approach Krishna, Krishna reveals himself. Just like the deity. If we approach the deity as stone or wood, that's what we see. If we approach the deity with faith, shraddha, faith in the word of God, in the word of Krishna, faith in the words of the acharyas, when we approach Krishna in that mood, Krishna reciprocates. And Srila Prabhupada explains, in that mood, when we really surrender with devotion, Krishna will speak to us. We're seeing Krishna. We're giving our hearts, our lives to Krishna. And similarly, devotional service. If we approach our service with faith, we will be eternally grateful for the opportunity to serve. And that gratitude will manifest in our enthusiasm to serve. Otherwise, without that faith coming by hearing and chanting and the association of those who have faith, it just becomes a job. Just becomes something to do. And similarly, prasad. If we approach prasad with just regular food that we want to enjoy, then that's what our experience is going to be. Even though there is something very divine happening, we can't really recognize it. But shraddha, if we approach prasad with faith, faith in the words of the scriptures, faith in the words of the gurus, that this is Krishna's mercy, this is Krishna's Shakti. Prasad seva. We don't eat prasad, we honor prasad, we serve prasad. When we have that mood, we get so deeply purified when we taste prasad. And such a happiness, not just happiness of the mouth and the tongue, but happiness of the soul awakens when we honor prasad in this spirit. So Krishna manifested all the prasad again, and then Krishna arranged for the prasad to be distributed to everyone. First the saintly people, then the people in general, then everybody, including the dogs and the animals, they gave prasad. And then Krishna led everyone in circumambulating Govardhana parikrama, keeping the cows in the front. And after that, some details of Indra getting angry and sending rains, Samvarta gods, rains of devastation, and Krishna lifted Govardhana. And Indra, who's a good devotee, but distracted. Krishna refocused his attention and crushed his ego. then just surrendered. So the Brijabasis were so happy. This is the first time since Krishna's Anakuta that such a festival is happening. Now Krishna's again appeared, just like he appeared in Krishna Lila on top of Govardhana Hill in his original form. Now he's appeared as Gopal. So it was such a wonderful festival. They made mountains and mountains of prasad. Madhavendra Puri offered it all. Then he offered the arti. Then he made a nice bed for Gopal. And he made a nice little straw temporary house for Gopal to live in around his bed. Madhavendra Puri fanned him and massaged him and offered him flowers and offered him prayers. He had just eaten a really big meal. He just had arti. Everyone was dancing and singing for him. And he put Gopal to rest. And after Gopal took rest and everyone was fed, after that, Madhavendra Puri fed everyone. Then he just took one little portion of a milk preparation himself. This festival was so blissful that the next day another village came and said, we want our village to do this festival. So day after day, every day was another Anakut, gigantic, incredible festival. Every day a whole village came with all of their food and cooked for hours and hours and hours, and Madhavendra Puri offered it. All the Brijabasi villages, and then villages from other places came. And gradually, as the weeks went by, there was Gopal became so dear to everyone's heart that people started bringing so many gifts. People were bringing their food. Practically every Brijabasi in the whole Braj Bhumi donated a cow to Gopal. So now Gopal had a large herd of cows. And so much food was there. I'd like to read one beautiful verse. Mathurara loka sabha bada bada dani bhakti kodi nana dravya beta deya ani. Not only all the Brijbasis were bringing cows and bringing food and bringing whatever they had, the best of everything to offer to Gopal, and that was their greatest happiness. But the people of Mathura, Prabhupada's translation for bada bada dhani, is capitalists. It says the people of Mathura, who were very big capitalists, also brought various presentations and offered them before the deity in devotional service. Thus, countless presentations of gold, silver, garments, scented articles, and edibles arrived. The store of Gopal increased daily. Eka mahadhani kshatriya korela mandira kehapaka bandhara koila kehata prachira. One very rich kshatriya of the royal order constructed a temple. Someone made cooking utensils and someone constructed boundary walls. Each and every family residing in the land of Brajabhumi contributed one cow. In this way, thousands of cows became the property of Gopal. This is very wonderful. We see how everyone was united. Madhavendra Puri is a great sannyasi. He's living so simple. And the Brijabasis, the villagers, They were all a part of it, giving cows, bringing grains, bringing vegetables, singing, dancing, praying. And the very wealthy business-like community from Mathura, they were also coming and offering so many articles of jewels and gold and silver and other types and edibles. And then it describes one very, very wealthy man. He contributed to building a magnificent temple on top of Govardhan Hill for Gopal. So we see that same spirit that we found in the disappearance of Madhavendra Puri's festival in Shantipur by Advaita. Everyone is doing what they can. One person built this huge, wonderful temple for Gopal. And Madhavendra Puri initiated so many of the Brijavasi Brahmins to perform seva. But he was doing the main seva for Gopal. And then two sannyasis from Bengal, two renunciates from Gopal, from Bengal came, and Madhavendra Puri trained them to assist him in the seva directly as pujaris for Gopal. In this way, so many wonderful festivals. And again, what made everything so nice is everyone was serving together to their capacity. And please understand, this is Vrindavan, simple village. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in relation to this story, he composes a wonderful verse. The ideal place to cultivate Krishna consciousness is Vrindavan. Because Krishna is naturally inclined to because the devotees are naturally inclined to Krishna with love and affection. And Krishna is naturally inclined to devotees, reciprocating with their love and affection. And Srila Prabhupada explains, or all of our acharyas explain, that wherever that spirit is, that is Vrindavan. Wherever Krishna is in the center, wherever there's no ego, there's no I and mine. Wherever there's that common unity, that oneness, that we are all here for Krishna's pleasure. We are all here to serve. And that's the standard of our happiness, what makes Krishna happiness. And when we're all united in that spirit and we're all giving the best we can give and doing the best we can do, and appreciating everyone else, that is Vrindavan, the ideal place to practice Krishna consciousness. One night, a couple years later, Madhavendra Puri was resting and he had another dream. Gopal appeared to him. He said, "Yes, you have bathed me with tens and thousands of buckets of water from Govinda Kund, all such cool water, and you've covered me with so many nice scents, but I'm still feeling hot. Immediately, go to Jagannath Puri and the nearby Malayan hills and bring me sandalwood to place on my body to make me cool." Madhavendra Puri, he entrusted the seva to his disciples and immediately left. And on his way to Jagannath Puri, he came here to Remuna. Lord Chaitanya is telling this story. Do I have time or should I end? Gauranga Prabhu asked me to give class, and I said, I'm not well, I'll speak 5 minutes. I'm sorry. Madhavendra Puri was always thinking of Gopal. When he was in Ramona, he saw the temple of Gopinath. That temple is very old. When Ram and Sita and Lakshman were in exile, long before in the Treta Yuga, Sita asked Ram, what will be your form in your next incarnation? And Ram took a piece of stone from a river, and with his arrow, he carved the deity of Gopinath, playing flute. And Sita worshipped that deity as her life and soul. It was later given to a Brahmin when they had to travel. So Gopinath attracted such love from Madhavendra Puri. He was dancing, he was singing, he was crying. All the people around could see what a great Paramhamsa he was. He was so humble. He became very close with all the pujaris and all the people of the temple. And Madhavendra Puri, he was only thinking, he was going to get sandalwood for Gopal. He heard that there was very nice prasad that was being offered to Gopinath. So he asked the priests, please tell me what kind of prasad you're making. Give me the recipe so I can bring it, so I could prepare these things for Gopal. They explained so many preparations. They said, but there is one preparation that is famous throughout the world. It is called Amrita Keli. It is Gopinath's Mahaprasad. It is a special, unique preparation of kheer or sweet rice. And it's offered in 12 pots every day to Gopal. So just after hearing this, Madhavendra Puri remained there, and he saw them bring the 12 pots to offer to Gopinath. During the offering, Madhavendra Puri was thinking out of his pure surrender and love to Gopal and Vrindavan. He was thinking, when I return to Govardhana, I want to offer this same preparation. If I could just taste it, then I could understand what it is and I can offer it to Gopal. And he was thinking, how can I be thinking of eating something when the deity's still eating it? So he became ashamed and didn't say a word or ask anyone anything. After the offering, there was an arti. Madhavendra Puri stood silently during the arti and then left. He went to a little marketplace which was completely vacant and just sat there alone chanting the names of Krishna. Meanwhile, the pujari took the pots of sweet rice from the altar, then put the deity to rest, and then himself went to his little place to rest. Gopinath appeared to him in a dream and said, you offered me 12 pots of sweet rice, but you only took off the altar 11, because one pot I stole. I stole a pot of sweet rice and hid it behind a curtain behind where I'm standing. I stole it from my devotee Madhavendra Puri. You should come immediately and get this sweet rice and deliver it to Madhavendra Puri. So the pujari immediately got up from his bed and took his bath and went on the altar and looked behind the deity, and there behind a piece of cloth was a pot of kheer. He was struck with wonder. Who is this Madhavendra Puri? Gopinath stole sweet rice for him. So he took the kheer and he went outside. And he was calling throughout the town. Where is Madhavendra Puri? Who is Madhavendra Puri? Madhavendra Puri has stolen this kheer just for you. And soon the whole town, everyone, who is Madhavendra Puri? Gopinath stole kheer for this Madhavendra Puri. Who is this? And when he finally came to the little place where Madhavendra Puri was sitting, Madhavendra Puri came and identified himself. And the pujari offered his dandavat pranams to Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri offered dandavat pranams to the pujari. And he said, Gopinath stole the sweet rice for you. How they appreciated each other. Gopinath appeared in the dream to the pujari. Gopal appeared to the dreams of Madhavendra Puri. They both recognized the good fortune of each other. They embraced. Madhavendra Puri, when he drank that sweet rice, with his heart of soul, it was Krishna's special mercy. He was weeping and crying in ecstasy. Then he broke the little clay pot into many, many pieces and tied it up in his cloth and would wear it. And every day after that, he would eat one little piece of the clay pot and weep in ecstasy and gratitude for the mercy of Gopinath. But that particular day, after he ate the sweet rice, and he broke the pot and collected it all, he was thinking that everyone in the village is going to think I'm famous. And he didn't want any pratishta. He only wanted to serve. So without saying anything to anyone, before the night ended, he left the village. Because he didn't want to be honored. But every village he came to, the word spread. You don't need internet to spread words. Better than that is enthusiasm. The word spread. Gopinath has stolen sweet rice from Madhavendra Puri. In fact, they renamed the deity. Kheer Chora Gopinath. And throughout the towns and throughout the village, now he's not Gopinath, he's Kheer Chor Gopinath because of this great devotee Madhavendra Puri. So wherever Madhavendra Puri would go, people would start honoring him and worshiping him, and he would just very humble, very quietly go away. Until he finally came to Jagannath Puri, and he told the priest at Jagannath Temple, Ram Kumar's forefathers, he said, Gopal, my deity in Vrindavan, he's very hot. He told the whole story. He said, he has ordered me to come here to get Chandan, sandalwood. Now the pujaris, they had already heard the glories of Kheer Chor Gopinath and how he stole the sweet rice from Madhavendra Puri. So they were willing to do anything for him. So here's an example where Madhavendra Puri, he hated to be praised and glorified, but for the service of the Lord, it's his fame and glory that induced them to actually take so much trouble to serve him. So the priests of the Jagannath Temple arranged 82 pounds of sandalwood to be collected. And in those days, and I guess these days too, sandalwood was very rare. It was very precious. So to get sandalwood in any quantity, you had to get permission from government officials. So the pujaris in the Jagannath temple, they went and they helped, and they went to all these government officers and they had to file all kinds of applications and get permissions, and then they were given the sandalwood. And they gave it all to Madhavendra Puri, and then they got about 8 ounces of pure camphor to mix with the sandalwood. This took time. Madhavendra Puri remained in Puri. Every day he was going for darshan of Lord Jagannath and dancing and chanting in great ecstasy. Balaram Subhadra. And then the priests of Jagannath temple, they offered 2 assistants to help Madhavendra Puri to travel all the way back to Govardhana, 1,000 kilometers or more, with such a load, and it's so valuable. And there's so many places on the way that were different governments and different taxes and different rulers, and some were very, very corrupt, and some places were just filled with dacoits. It was almost impossible to travel with such valuables by foot through all these places. Madhavendra Puri had all these little papers from the government in Puri saying that it was given to him, he's not a thief. And when he would come to a place, he'd get to their border, it was like immigrations, and they would search him and they would find all this sandalwood and they would want to tax him, and Madhavendra Puri would speak to them. It was so much trouble. Finally, they came back to Ramona. Madhavendra Puri, on his journey back to Sri Vrindavan Dham, Giriraj, Govardhan, he wanted to have darshan again of his dear Gopinath, who became a thief just for his devotee. Now, in this world, only people in the modes of ignorance or passion will glorify a thief. Yes? Like dacoits glorify other dacoits. But saintly people don't do that. Because being a thief is a bad thing. Chanakya Pandit said we should see others' property as garbage in the street. We should have no desire, no envy. That's the principle of simplicity. We don't have greed or envy. But when Krishna steals, he's Makan Chor. He's Kir Chor. He's glorified. Because he's the proprietor of everything. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, there's nothing for him to steal. Everything is his. But still he steals just to increase the sweetness of the love for his devotees. Just to show how he's dependent on the love of his devotees. So Madhavendra Puri was so happy to see Gopinath, and Gopinath was so happy to see Madhavendra Puri. He danced and he chanted and he ate sweet rice. And the next day he was going to leave for Vrindavan, but that night Gopal appeared in a dream and said, "You have surrendered everything to me. It's so much trouble you're taking. You're risking your life for my pleasure. But actually, I'm none different than Gopinath. So all the Chandan and all the camphor, use it for the whole summer season to place on the body of Gopinath, and I will be cool here in Vrindavan because we are one and the same." And please know that this is true. Madhavendra Puri woke up and he told the pujaris of Gopinath temple, who he knew very well, this is the plan. And they were very happy. So they got a whole team of just grinding sandalwood every day and mixing it with the camphor and covering the whole body during the summer months. Gopinath was beautiful darshan covered with this Chandan. And Gopal was completely happy. In this way, Madhavendra Puri spent the entire summer doing seva for Gopinath. And after the summer, for the Chaturmasya, Madhavendra Puri returned to Jagannath Puri to be with Lord Jagannath. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is narrating this wonderful story. And in today's verse, as if he has many, many mouths, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorifying his devotee. See his surrender. He cares nothing for himself. He traveled all the way, he left Vrindavan on the order of the Lord to go through so many dangerous lands to go to Puri. And then with so much trouble, taking all this valuable sandalwood through so many places, it was impossible. No one would do that. It's almost impossible. People will kill you. But he didn't care anything. He had no fear. Maro virako bijo ichatoha nityata sapratitua adhikar. Bhakti Vinod Thakur prays like this. My dear Lord, if you want to kill me, then please kill me. If you want to protect me, then please protect me. You can do anything you like with me because I am your service unconditionally. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada cites Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ashlisya vapadaratam panashtumam. My Lord, if you want to embrace, if you like, you may embrace me. Or you may trample on me. Or you may make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. You can do anything you like with me. I am your servant unconditionally. This is true bhakti. This is the gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyabhilashita sunyam jnanakarmanya navratam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktaruttama. True bhakti, we don't desire anything from this material world. We don't desire supernatural yogic siddhis, powers. We do not even desire liberation. We simply want to make Krishna happy by service, by our service. This is the goal of chanting the holy names. This is the goal of life. This is what Srila Prabhupada left Vrindavan in the mood of Madhavendra Puri and traveled around the world 12 times to give pleasure to Krishna by spreading this message of pure love, the love of the residents of Vrindavan, the Brijbasis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna in the mood of Sri Radha, is glorifying Madhavendra Puri in this way. Just see his selfless devotion, his unmotivated, uninterrupted service. And then Lord Chaitanya told the story that he heard from his Gurudev. During Madhavendra Puri's last phase of his life, he was physically bedridden. He couldn't stand up. Ishwara Puri was his personal servant. Ishwara Puri was a great scholar, a great sannyasi. But he was with his guru constantly. He would clean his guru's stool and urine with his own hands, feeling it was the greatest gift to offer this seva. And he was constantly chanting the glories of Krishna and the names of Krishna to give pleasure to his guru. And Madhavendra Puri told Ishwara Puri, my child, may Krishna bless you to be a great devotee and lover of him. Because of that menial service and because of that blessing, Lord Chaitanya accepted Ishwara Puri as his guru. At the last phase of Ishwara Puri's life, or Madhavendra Puri's life, he was offering this prayer. Ai dina dayardra natahe, mathura nata kada valokshase, hridayam tvad alok kataram, dayata brahmyati kim karom yaham. In the mood of Sri Radha, after Krishna left Vrindavan to go to Mathura, Madhavendra Puri was offering this prayer again and again. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas explain, only a true devotee of the Lord can appreciate this prayer. And no one can understand this prayer. There are only 3 people who ever existed that can understand this prayer. Srimati Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Radha Bhava Duti Subalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam, Krishna in the Mahabhava of Sri Radha, and Madhavendra Puri. This is the exalted state of Sri Madhavendra Puri's love. By the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we can appreciate this prayer. Love and separation. In our Gaudiya Vaishnav Parampara, this love and separation is the pinnacle of spiritual perfection. Madhavendra Puri was offering this wonderful prayer in separation of Krishna, in deep appreciation for Sri Radha's mood of separation when she met Uddhava after Krishna left Vrindavan. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching this prayer of Madhavendra Puri to the devotees, he went into an ecstatic state they'd never seen before. He was running, he was chanting, he was crying, he was rolling, he was falling on the ground, he was crying, and he would, Ai Dina, he couldn't even say the whole verse. In such profound appreciation for the ecstatic love of Madhavendra Puri. And after some hours in this state, the pujaris brought out the 12 pots of sweet rice. And they presented it before Lord Chaitanya. Somehow he came back into external consciousness. And he had 4 associates. So he took 5 of the 12 pots and he gave the rest to the pujari to distribute to the public. And then along with his devotees, praising every bite, every morsel, such a treasure. He was praising the Mahaprasad in this mood. He wasn't just tasting a preparation. He was tasting Krishna's mercy. He was tasting Madhavendra Puri's ecstatic love. He was tasting Gopinath's love for his devotee. And in this way, the story ends with Lord Chaitanya and his confidential associates honoring Prasad. So that's what today is about. Srinathji Prabhu, Maithili Devi, and with us is Keshav Prabhu and Namamrita Devi, and their whole families. Their love for Srila Prabhupada, their love for Krishna. Doing so much to serve the Vaishnavas, to serve Radha Gopinath, to serve Radha Vrindavan Bihari. Srinathji Prabhu, like these associates of Madhavendra Puri that we're reading about in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, whatever he could do, he was always helping. When Srila Prabhupada was going to Vrindavan for the last time, like Madhavendra Puri, he also couldn't walk. He was in his last stages. And like Ishwara Puri, Srinathji Prabhu got to render nice service. Giriraj Maharaj called him and said, we have to bring Srila Prabhupada to the railway station. And the train is leaving really soon. So Maithili Devi cleaned the car out nicely and put a beautiful sheet on the back seat. And then Srinathji Prabhu took that car and he raced really fast, like Madhavendra Puri, risking his life, breaking laws to somehow or other get there in time. And then they put Prabhupada in the back seat and Srinathji Prabhu took him to the railway station, just close to Radha Gopinath Temple. In fact, they practically passed by where Radha Gopinath Temple was later to be. He brought Prabhupada onto the train. He ran and got Prabhupada water. Such an accomplished man. PhD from American universities, master's degrees from British universities, industrialist. Father was in the parliament, a man of such power, such prestige, such accomplishment. And he's just running like a little boy to get water for Prabhupada. Such a simple menial servant, driving for Prabhupada. Then he put his feet on Prabhupada's head. He put his head on Prabhupada's feet and begged Prabhupada with tears for his mercy. And he surrendered to Srila Prabhupada with his whole heart, with his body, mind, life. And Srila Prabhupada accepted him, rubbed him. Then the train started moving. He had to run out and jump out from a moving train. And later, after Srila Prabhupada disappeared from this world, because of his influence, Giriraj Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, later Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, they all invited Srinathji Prabhu to be the master of ceremonies for the inauguration of Prabhupada's most cherished project, Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari Temple. And he used his great influence for that purpose. And later, when there were union strikes, he used his incredible, fearless intelligence to restore the temple. Because except for him, everyone was in a totally helpless state. They didn't know what to do. He had just clear mind, I know what to do, and he did it. He risked his life. When they started book distribution, he personally bought vans, little trucks, to be mobile temples to distribute Prabhupada's books throughout Bombay and the villages of India. Helped in every way. Shri Radha Gopinath Temple. There were so many court cases. I think 22 court cases. And he fought every one of them, personally. And whenever another court case came, I would think, oh no. I don't like to fight. It's just my guna, my karma, it's my nature. I just like to be nice, you know. But sometimes you have to fight. Arjuna. When we'd have a court case, I would think, oh no, and Srinathji would get all excited. He said, I love a good fight for Krishna. When I'm fighting for Krishna, I love a good fight. So because of him, we got that temple in the first place. Because of the family of Srinathji Prabhu, everything. Srinathji Prabhu preached to Krishna Chandra Prabhu and Radha Priya Devi, along with Maitali Priya Devi and father Aravind Mafatlao and Shushila Mataji. The whole families became so devoted to Prabhupada's cause. And Srinathji Prabhu's mother, she was in the Pushti Marg. She loved Krishna. Every Janmashtami she would have elaborate preparations. She had a wonderful deity of Krishna. And that seed of bhakti very much came from his mother. And his father's courageous excellence in whatever he did. And Srinathji Prabhu, when he met Srila Prabhupada, it just took that to another level of surrender, devotion. So it's through this wonderful family that we are so grateful. And it was one of his great wishes before he passed from this mortal world. Sri Radha Vrindavan Bihari, Sri Radha Gopinath took his soul to be with Srila Prabhupada. That this kitchen be there. A wonderful, wonderful kitchen for Prasad. Not only did they do the landscaping and so many other projects here, but for this to uplift the villages in every way, and ultimately to give them Krishna consciousness. Developing schools, developing training centers, developing agricultural facilities in every way. Nothing for themselves. Seva to the Vaishnavas, to the people in general. So today is a very, very special day. And we have Dr. Alwa here, Sitaram Alwa. He had actually convinced Pejawaramat Swami, the leading acharya of the Madhva Sampradaya, to come to inaugurate this function today. But he had a car crash, so his health, he was not able, but he sends his love, his blessings for this occasion. He was also he very much blessed Srinathji Prabhu. They were very close. Dr. Alwa is here on behalf of Pejawaramat Swami. Ram Kumarji is here on behalf of Lord Jagannath, Balaram and Subhadra. and Maitali Devi, Srinathji Prabhu's illustrious wife, and Keshav Prabhu, his son, who's given his heart, his soul, his life, and Namamrita Devi, who's everything and anything we would want a devotee to be, and more. They're all here. And all of us are here on this most befitting day of the disappearance of Sri Madhavendra Puri. We will now have a procession from Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. We will be bringing this wonderful photograph of Srinathji Prabhu to place in the Prasadam hall where the new kitchen will be. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you very much.